Hey guys, welcome to episode 11 of the GretchYo Show. The GretchYo Show is a comedy open mic. If you don't know what an open mic is, it's the only place that comedians get to test out new material. This is an anything goes mic, so buckle up. You'll see it from my set coming up. Comedians, we have only 4 comedians instead of 6, so I'll give you guys 10 minutes to test out material. I'll go ahead and I'll light you at 9. You don't have to use all 10 minutes, but it's there for you if you want it. Let's see. So, yeah, I'll go ahead and get started. I really want to be in a relationship right now. I really want a boyfriend, mostly because there's just something about walking away. But also, I got out of this bad relationship a couple years ago. There were a lot of red flags I didn't pick up on. I didn't like kissing him. He had this really stabby tongue kiss that was just kind of like, I found out late in the game that he wears girls' deodorant. And it's like, are you gay? Are you weak? Are you cheating on me? Like, what is it? He'd say things like funner all the time. I don't know. He was all the way around annoying. Like the night that we broke up, he was banging on my door all night until I let him out. Fundamentally, we were off as well, though. I'm more of an uptown girl, and he is more of a predator. And see, I didn't really know this until the breakup, right? That's when stuff started to come to my attention, right? He didn't really deal with the breakup well. He stalked me for a little bit. And, that's the funny thing about stalking, right? Everybody kind of wants to be stalked until they're actually stalked. At first, it's all fun and games. Oh my God, Jason is such a stalker. He won't leave me alone. And then you've got a tracker on your car, and you find out that he's got not 1, but 2 rape charges you didn't know about. I'm kind of into bad boys. But yeah, I mean, he never raped me. Or maybe I never said no. Anyway, tomato, tomato. But as you can imagine, I had a lot of anxiety with sex. Fucking a rapist for 10 months will do that to you. And so I realized that in order to get back to my true sexual self, that I was going to have to face this issue head on, right? So I got really into bondage. I'll tell you what, there's nothing like a ball gag or some consensual non-consent to get you over your rape anxiety. And it worked. It really did. So much so that I was able to get into a healthy spot to go ahead and have a hoe phase, which I think is very important. Normally, when I go through a breakup, I mean, even without that in it, I am very depressed, right? Sometimes for weeks, sometimes for months. But this time around, I just sucked a lot of dick. Mm-hmm. And that was way more fun, right? I don't know. I sucked more dick in the 10 weeks after my relationship than I did in the entire year I was in that relationship. I was sucking so much dick that I was straight up seeing holistic benefits. I'll give you an example. I had a sore throat and I was trying everything, right? I was on medication, I was going to the sauna, I was pretty much on a liquid diet. And it wasn't until I started sucking this guy's big dick that I just, it's kind of like in yoga, when you're in it, you're stretching out and it kind of hurts, but then afterwards you're just better. I don't know. I tried everything and only a big dick worked. Let me see. But now I'm definitely ready to date. I feel like my mindset has totally changed, right? I'm kind of viewing myself as this modern day Cinderella, but instead of trying on shoes, I'm trying on dicks. And it's some are too big and some are too small and some are kind of weird. But I have faith that my glass dick is out there. And when I meet him, it'll be great. People will be like, how'd you know? And I'll be like, he slipped right in. So yeah, I'm dating a lot right now. I'm learning a lot. Mostly that there's always something, right? I recently reconnected with an old fling, which is, I know, always a bad idea. When we first met, you know, he's a little bit older, like he was a freshman in college and I was in 6th grade. So we had to keep it under wraps in more ways than one. But now that it's legal, I was like, hey, why don't we try this again? And so I was trying to keep him young. I was like, hey, babe, you should download Snapchat. I can like send you pictures. And then he was like, oh, I don't need that shit. I've been taking pictures of you this whole time. So he was gone. I've learned that men will waste my time a lot. You know, I meet someone, there's a connection, and then I just find out that he's got a wife or a baby or a girlfriend or like all three he's trying to avoid. So now if I have any inclination at all, I take his dick right out of my mouth and I ask, are you married? Let's see, I'm really like this equal opportunity dater in that I like brown and black guys, like not so much disabilities. But again, like, so I was hooking up with this black guy for a little bit and it was great. It was like the best sex I've ever had, right? Like it was like the type of sex that'll make you throw gang signs. Like really the only issue was our living situation, right? Like he was, or oh my God, I'm mixing in another joke. Really the only issue. That was when I fucked a 21-year-old. Anyway, the only issue was he just never tipped the waitstaff well when we went out to eat. And I just thought it was like too ironic considering black people have spent a lot of time in the service industry. I know. But I am all about that new America. I let that black guy whip me all the time. All right. Let's see. I've been really into Latin men lately. I was, you know, oh my God, I'm fucking this up. I'm like getting all tongue-tied writing in all these different jokes. I've got, where was I? Really into Latin men. That's right. And I've been really into, what is it? The, not the social media, but the online dating, right? And I thought I had actually swiped upon the man of my dreams, right? It was just a dick pic next to an enchilada, and I thought I'd found the one. But, and you know, he really reinforced it. He ate me out right away. And you know what? It's because he's raised right. And then I met his mom. She was a lesbian. He gets it from his mama. I don't know. I was really sad when that ended. I don't know. Things got awkward. I said I love you too fast and accidentally took a shit on his chest. So anyway. So yeah, I think that's all I'm going to do tonight. I'm kind of getting jumbled up over here and going to give the time to someone else. But anyway, okay, so I forgot to tell you guys that this lineup is, I'm literally just pulling this out of a bowl. So on deck, so not the next person, but the next person is going to be Zach Amon. And then the comedian that's up now, oh, he's very funny. I think he's the funniest person on Facebook right now. Go follow him if you haven't. His name is the very funny James Amster.
All right. I guess I'll go. Thank you very much. Gretchen called me at the last minute for this and was like, hey, can you fill in a gap for me? And this is not what I was hoping for, but you know, I take what I can get.
So sweet.
I've been doing some remodeling lately. This guy told me that it was not appropriate anymore to have a master bedroom. So I turned it into a sex dungeon. Now it's the sub basement. I feel you though, Gretchen. I have been really frustrated lately sexually, and that is business as usual for me, actually. So I find it very difficult to be in a relationship. I spent my formative years incarcerated, And it's really, really hard for me to form relationships because of that. I have some really good prison stories, though. Like, it really teaches you to communicate with people, because a lot of people in there don't speak the same English as you, or just don't speak English. And I remember my cellmate one time told me, we were talking and I was trying to learn Spanish because that was the only way I was going to survive as a half Jewish Latino. And he said, man, eso es faita. And I was like, faita? ¿Cómo se dice en English? How do you say faita in English? And he was like, eso es inglés. He was like, it's English. I was like, that is not English, dude. And he was like, you know, man, he was like, when something's not right, that's just faita, man. It's faita. And I was like, oh, I get it. It's fucked up. And so you really have to learn to like communicate well with people. And for some reason that hasn't translated to relationships for me. I also get like bored easily. And I think that being in multiple relationships at the same time is totally okay. Like, I mean, variety is the spice of life, but how does that not translate into relationships, you know? And there's a big movement that's been coming out about that, and I think it's really good. And Polly's lives matter, you know? I mean, they've been saying it all over the internet. I was at work the other day, speaking of sexually frustrated, and these two guys were talking about their favorite porn stars. And I was like, man, that's just TMI. I was like, I don't want to know which chicks you jerk off to. That's like too much pressure on me. I'm like, because now I'm at home, I'm jerking off, and I realize that I'm jerking off to the same chick as you. And are we like Eskimo brothers now? Now I'm sitting around jerking off thinking about you. Is that gay? Like, this is too high. Like, even thinking about this is too high anxiety for me. And I'm cool with being gay. I'm just like, I don't know. Like, what is this whole situation? It's strange. I was confronted with a strange situation like that. I was on a date the other day, and I met this girl online, and she looked like Jessica Alba. She was really good looking. And I showed up, and she was really, really tall. And halfway through dinner, I figured out that she was trans. And by figured out, I mean she told me, because I'm fucking oblivious and I would have never known. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm a cam girl and all this. And then I started feeling weird because I wasn't into it anymore. And I was like, oh man, I was into this until I found out. Am I transphobic? Like, is this bigoted? I had this whole like Elmer Fudd fucking Bugs Bunny chase going on in my head. And she invited me home, and I went, and I tell you what, it was just like getting pegged by any other chick. It was just the same. And that's when I realized that dating is like NASCAR. You go around in circles most of the time, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes you blow a tranny. That's just how it is. Seriously though, I think that being in the service industry a long time, because I was a waiter for a long time, really helped me out with communication, because it really teaches you to communicate. And I don't know if you guys know this, but servers don't really make as much money as everybody thinks they do. And servers will eat off your plate after you send your food back. I personally never did it until very towards the end of my career. I saw myself doing it, and I was like, why am I doing this now? I've never done this in 20 years of waiting tables. And I realized that it was because it was a beautiful woman. And like, that was my cutoff. Like, it has to be a beautiful person. Like, because if I'm not willing to eat your ass, I'm not willing to eat your leftovers either. It's just how it is.
Solid. It's a good way to think of things, for sure.
I mean, that's what I realized it was. So I saw this girl I follow on Facebook. She's super into body modification, and she gets a lot of plastic surgery done, and she's really proud for some reason of how much money she spends on that. That's like her flex, which I think is a strange flex, but okay. And the other day she posted a picture of her plastic surgery bill for they trimmed the lunch meat up a little bit, you know what I mean? And she posted a picture of the $9,000 bill and the severed lady bit. And I was in a real conundrum. I was like, is this porn? I was like, is she posting porn online? Do you guys think it's porn? Round of applause. Is it porn?
I don't know.
No?
Good time.
Maybe.
Damn, I knew I shouldn't have jerked off to it. Such a weirdo. God damn it. And I think I'm such a weirdo because I do so much drugs. Like, I really have bad coping skills and I use drugs instead. Like, sometimes it happens by accident, though. I was telling my friend the other day, I was like, you remember that time we were at the club and someone put 3 Xanax in my drink? And he was like, you mean you? He was like, you put 3 Xanax in your drink. And that's the thing, is like, you don't remember that shit when you take 3 Xanax in a drink. Oh, I'm glad he refreshed my memory. I do. We have it really good with drugs in this country. Like, we have to be the biggest consumer of drugs in the world. The alcohol, drugs, all that. I mean, we have it so good in this country that rappers are rapping about moving pounds in weight, and that's how they got their money to start their label or whatever. And it's like, that doesn't happen really in other countries. Jamaicans are jamming about having a stalk of Sensimilla blooming in the backyard. Come on now. Like, I'm happy to be in this country, if nothing else, for the drugs. So, I mean, let's see. Speaking of fucked up life and drugs in childhood, I remember, like, do you remember when you were a kid and one of your parents would be like beating your ass and the other parent would come in and not even ask what was going on and just start whooping your ass too? Did any of that happen to anybody else? I know. See, I know I'm not the only one that suffered abuse here. Thank you. Statistically, not enough of you are laughing at that. So your parents would come in and like want to be whooping your ass, and then the other would start, and they would have to coordinate it so they didn't hit each other by accident. And it was like a dance. It was like whooping your ass too, Electric Boogaloo. And I kind of felt like I was the car in the bonus Street Fighter round, and they were trying to just break me. But like, it really, I forgot where I was going with this. That's the head trauma, that's the head trauma. But I was gonna tell some Trump jokes. I think it's played out though, and I'm not going to, but a guy I work with got real mad at me the other day because I called him a clown, and he was like, he's not a clown. And I was like, really? I was like, he wears baggy, gaudy clothes and he's got terrible hair and makeup. And he says things that don't make any sense. He has a hot wife. Funny guys always have hot wives. I'm single, case in point. So I was like, it'd be amusing. I mean, if said clown didn't have nuclear weapons. So there's no punchline here. I'm just really sad about the state of things. So. Yeah. That whole thing is a punchline. I heard, back to the sexually frustrated thing, I heard about this guy in Malawi who was arrested and tried for raping a goat, which, if you don't know, Malawi is a backwards, like, south, I think it's in the southwest of Africa. It's like the fourth world. And what really surprised me about the case was that they prosecuted a guy for raping a goat. Like, I would think they would not want to spend money on that. Like, if a guy is caught raping a goat and it makes the papers and the internet, kind of think that's punishment enough. You're goat fucker forever now. I mean, you can, when you're in school and you get like an F and they're like, oh, this is a black mark that'll follow you forever. Not true. Definitely not true. But if you're on the internet with your face as a picture of goat fucker, I'm going to say that one goes ahead and follows you forever. And, it was interesting. The most interesting thing to me was his defense was he didn't deny it or be like, no, it wasn't me, or this is false accusation. He literally got up on the stand and said it was consensual. Like, that is how awful some people are. Like, this, I am sure that goat did not come on to him. I've been around a lot of animals in my life. I've had horses. Never has one been like, James, you want to hit this? No, never happened. Never ever happened. So, but he literally did. And I was like, man, this guy's a scumbag. And then I thought to myself, I was like, this is actually a really solid legal defense, kind of. I mean, I understand the guy's getting up there and literally using she asked for it on a goat, which is insane. But like, getting up there and saying like it's consensual, it's like, what are they going to do? Call the goat to the stand? Are they going to get a goat translator? Is Jim Brewer going to come up there and be fucking goat boy for him? So I was like, this is kind of genius, actually. And I kind of respected the hustle in that case. But you know what? I mean, I gotta say still, like, the guy raped a goat.
Yeah.
And got up there and said that the goat was dressed a little too provocatively for him. And if that just doesn't speak to the state of things, I don't know what does. I think I had a better punchline for that, but I'm ad-libbing kind of here and I forgot. So
that's okay.
I think that's all I got today.
All right. Great job.
Thank you.
All right. On deck, we've got Breck Gordon. But up next, we've got a Tulsa comedian. Sometimes he runs my Reds open mic show in Tulsa every Tuesday. Let's give it up for the very funny Zach Amon.
Hi, everybody. Here to see all guys. It's fun to hear about goofing on a Monday. That's fun. Time, enjoy it. Had work to. Work's fun. My work. I have a lot of coworkers that do little griefs at work every time they meet me. It's worse than small. They come by. Hey Zach, what are you up to? How you doing? What you doing? And it's terrible. So I've started being honest when they come by. They're like, hey Zach, what you doing? I'm gonna go take a shit. What you go do? It's 3 o'clock, shitting time. You know, everybody's got a shitting time. I have 2 in the morning, 1 and 3. I don't shit at work. It freaks me out. I'm a home bowler. I just go do a bunch of can because I work in finance. So, it's what you do. It's what you do. I'm living the Wolf of Wall Street life. Weed's illegal out here in Tulsa, out in Oklahoma, and I realized that you can buy to a lot of music when you're high. Like there's only like 3 types of music that I'm not into. Like I like screamo music, you know, I can't understand what they're saying to it. I don't like hipster acoustic music, you know, one person with a guitar singing about nonsense because they haven't lived a life enough to sing about anything worth singing about. And K-pop, not into it, you know. But I'm like, hey, turn that Korean girl group up. I'm into this. I want to dance a little bit. And I might hear some screamo. I'm like, oh, jump to a mall, throw some bows around, you know, not hard to hurt some people. But my favorite, honestly, when I'm high is the hipster acoustic music, because that's when I know to go out and smoke more weed. That's my favorite. I realize I smoke too much. Because anytime I get any amount of money, I know immediately how much weed I can buy with that money. Today I had $60, and I was like, hey, that's a quarter. All right, we're going to have a day. It's going to be a good day. You know, every Christmas I take my Christmas money in. I guess, keep it coming. Daddy needs a new ounce. You know? The other landlord was like, hey, you have some like rent? You mean 3 ounces, 4 dabs, 6 edibles, and 10 pills? Never heard of it. What are you talking about? I'm like the Rain of weed. It's like my autism. I don't think I could write a breakup song. Because what if it's a hit? You know, that'd be terrible. Then I have to think about this person for the rest of my career. Have to be reminded constantly. Memories like, you, Mark. You know, meanwhile, Mark's in the car listening to the song. You know, I knew this guy. You know, the song sounds kind of like what an asshole. This song's about us. It's a good beat, though. I have a grandma who's Japanese, and my whole life she's been into finance. It's been the way she's tried to instill on me my whole life is how to be financial and what to do. Like every Christmas or my birthday, I would get a little money, and inside the be a novel of what I should do with me and how I should invest it. And I'm like, Grandma, I'm 9. I don't even know who Roth IRA is. And it was super annoying. And I've started doing the same thing to her now. You know, every year she's getting older. Every year for her birthday and Christmas, I give her a card with a little note and a brochure to a nursing home. And I'm like, hey, you got to prepare for your future, Grandma. It's coming. Got to lock you in somewhere. You know. It's been times with COVID going. It's been weird doing things like this. Like these open mics are so bizarre to do. It's weird. It's stressed out a little bit that I've started to take up smoking, and not really because of that one. It's because it just looks cool. It's also cool to me, you know. Anytime you get in a movie, the guys are walking in slow motion. They have leather jackets. It's kind of cool. But at the same time, like I've started because I want to see if I can beat the Earth. Because apparently we only have less than 12 years, and I'm competitive. So I'm really on the path to beat it. And it's also fun now that smoking 21 and up to look at 18 and be like, hey, remember when you guys do this? Have fun at war. It's a good time. But before I go, I just hope, the 4th of July this past weekend, hope everybody had a good 4th. The 4th of July has kind of gotten a lot less as time has gone. I had a lot of people on my Facebook being like, my dog just gets scared of fireworks. It's like, well, so do mine. But my dogs also get when I bring the broom out. So I don't know if I'm going to stop smoking anytime soon. Thank you guys. My name is Zach Amon. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Great job. Okay, on deck we've got Wes Corwin. But your next comedian, she's very funny, one of my favorite New York comics. Let's give it up for the very funny Breck Gordon.
Hello. The other day my roommate asked me if I'm okay and said that I've seemed down lately, and I was like, do you know about society? He asked me to hang out. I think he thinks he's gonna cheer me up, which is so cute that someone thinks they could do that. Yeah, does anyone else convince themselves that they have coronavirus every night about 1 hour before going to bed?
Yes.
It's a routine at this point. I Google the symptoms, work myself into an anxious frenzy, fixate on the shortness of breath symptom until I actually have shortness of breath, and then decide I definitively have the virus and panic until I pass out. So that's what I've been doing. In high school, this girl friended me on Facebook, and her about me said my mom is skinnier than me. And I still worry about her. Katie, if you're listening, please reach out so I can have peace of mind about one thing in life. So what else is new? I've been upsetting white people by making incendiary statements like Twin Peaks is propaganda and Michigan was not in the Confederacy. I've also been learning who a lot of celebrities are from them being in the news for getting canceled or dying. My favorite, though, is when I find out that someone who I thought was dead had actually been alive this whole time because I see the headline that they did just die. What else? I made the decision recently to start liking top 40 music.
Okay.
I decided I don't want to be pissed off in CVS anymore. Running my little errands, is all I have in this quarantine life. So I can't have it ruined because I refuse to like Drake. So now I do. I do still think it's a little weird when they play like really intense EDM in a store, though. But I guess like now that the target audience is Ritalin kids, Like, it makes sense that that would be the direction that pop music went as they grew up. Yeah. I'm on Hinge, the dating app, which is very weird. Everyone is obsessed with labels. Like, I'm ethically non-monogamous. I'm polyamorous. And I'm like, here's one. I'm non-amorous. Still interested, bud? No shade to polyamory. I just like have questions. Like, are your partners and their other partners all friends with each other? Because at that point, you're just a friend group who's fucking.
Yeah.
And in my experience, that's being single.
Yeah.
So, in college, I sold drugs. I'm not doing transitions tonight. I'm just hopping. So, in college, I sold drugs. I started because I got an underage drinking ticket and had to come up with $300 in 30 days and was making $7.25 an hour as a lifeguard. So, America.
Yeah.
So my business model was that I would buy drugs from one demographic and then sell them to another demographic who didn't know where to get that type of drug. So, like, I would buy pills from sorority girls and sell them to punks, and I would buy shrooms from hippies and sell them to bros. And then I sold weed to everyone. And my favorite thing was selling weed to bros because they were like just starting to get into it. They were like emerging stoners. And so they got really excited and they were really obsessed with like what the strain was. So I would hand them the bag and they would just like rip it open and like shove their face in it and then be like, smells dank. What is this? And I would just make shit up. So I'd be like, oh, this one's Texas Tornado. Or like, oh, this one's rare, man. This one's called Turkish Bubble Pop. Or like, this one's called, you're a moon face man, baby. Get the fuck out of my house, Kyle. They would come over in packs every day, and each one would individually buy 1 gram. And I was like, I'm not gonna suggest that you do this differently, but what a weird system. I never knew if it was like their way of rationing themselves or if they just wanted to see me every day because they had this like Barbie drug dealer fantasy. But it was fun. I once had a bro ask me how many grams were in a quarter, and I was like 5 grams. If you don't know about drugs or weight, it's 7 grams in a quarter, 28 grams in an ounce, 16 ounces in a pound. We do math, you know, dealers do math. So yeah, so then the drinking ticket, I paid it off, was so proud of myself. Parents never found out, I thought. And then the court sent a thank you note with a receipt to the address on my driver's license, which was my parents' house. So they call me, they're like, you ruined your life, you have no future, you know, all this. And I was like, huh, this is so much worse than you think. Yeah. So I'm in a queer meme collective, which just means I'm in a never-ending group chat with people who use words I don't know. The other day they were asking everyone what their coming out story was, and I was like, I'm a femme-presenting bisexual white woman. Coming out is a little dramatic, don't you think? The closest I have to a coming out story is my mom saw a picture of me kissing a girl on Instagram, and then she drunk dialed me to confront me about it.
Oh.
And she was like, hey, what you doing? And I was like, nothing, you. And she was like, driving. I was like, she lives in Dallas, so, you know. It's fine to do that. And she was like, I gotta ask you something. Are you like a bisexual? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, since when? And I was like, since always. That's how that works. And then she unfollowed me on Instagram.
Oh.
Like, that's the level of oppression that like an attractive bisexual woman experiences, is like their mom unfollowing them on Instagram, you know?
It's not too bad.
So I think we're fine. This guy stopped me on the street the other day and told me that he liked my upbeat energy. And I was like, sir, this is full-blown mania. Please back away. My intrusive thoughts have gotten a little nostalgic lately. I keep thinking, what if I did an ice bucket challenge video right now? So, like, and just fucking posted it. Like, I don't know why.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, let's see. In quarantine, I watched the entire Bon Appetit YouTube channel and retained nothing. Still do not cook. What other thoughts have I had recently? I would like a streaming service that consolidates all of the true crime shows.
Oh.
And then I could just quit all of them. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yes.
Like, I don't need anything else. Let's see. Christians being anti-abortion and pro-death penalty started to make sense to me when I started to understand the story of Easter. Just something I thought about. I think I'm done here.
Good job.
Thanks.
Right
Thanks,
on 10
everybody.
minutes. You did a great job.
I love you, Gretchen.
I love you too, Breck. All right. We've got one more comedian left. He's actually won the last 2 weeks. He's got shows all over town. And he also runs the Plano Comedy Festival, which is going to be virtual this year, so sign up for that. Let's give it up for the very funny Wes Corwin.
Woo!
Thank you. Thank you. It's been weird. Keeps being weird. I keep starting this set by saying it's been weird. It just keeps being weird. I've been getting into a lot of arguments with my family. One of my parents, I'll keep that obscure because I'm sure they appreciate the privacy. But one of my parents really doesn't believe in medicine at this point. They're like, oh, you can't believe in COVID. You can't believe in doctors. They keep changing the rule, but their doctors don't know nothing. And I was like, listen, do you understand how lucky it is that this is happening now? Do you know how great medicine is now? Like, we're doing amazing now. Like, you understand what most doctors did in like the 1800s? The two tools they had in their tool bag was doctors would shake their heads at people and then say no. Like, that was the two things they could do. They did it a lot. How bad is it, doc? No, that's all. I saw a movie about the Revolutionary War where a doctor looked like the scene was like a doctor ran into a medical tent and then the two other characters walked up like, oh man, is he going to be okay? A second later, he walked back out and was like, no. And he doesn't have a stethoscope. He doesn't have like the EKG that reads the heart. He doesn't have a tongue depressor. That would be invented 60 years later. He walked in, looked at a leg, and then walked back out. What does he know about that leg, right? I feel like if anybody asked like, oh, doc, could you explain why he has to lose this leg? We'd go like, oh, man, well, it's a left leg. You got to take it left. Apparently, that bullet to his stomach made one of his legs a lefty. There's nothing. Are you sure he can't live with a left leg? Shh. Let's see. We've been in quarantine for three and a half months now. I've watched every Star Wars movie. I've watched most of Frasier. I've started watching Murder, She Wrote. I'm running out of things. I've been watching cooking shows that were near the bottom of the list, right under Murder, She Wrote, and that's where I'm at. this is a weird stance to take in the middle of where we are in history. I don't think that cooking is like an art form. I'll watch cooking shows with my wife and she'll be like, oh man, it's so cool to see them express themselves. And I'm like, that's fucking horseshit. Like that. Let me clarify. I'm not trashing cooking. Cooking is like a skill you can master, like listing skills or like a second skill. But in my opinion, it's not like an art form. It's not self-express. I feel like I have to clarify that because TV cooking shows really want you to believe cooking is self-expression. Like if you've ever seen judges on a cooking TV show, they'll like sample a dish and they'll be like, wow, Bethany, you really brought it to this competition. Your decision to make a homemade cooking chicken soup, it shows off how practical you are. But the fact that you sprinkled rosemary around the edge of a bowl, that shows that you love your kids. Like, I don't buy any of that. That's the dumbest thing. I don't know. I believe this because I don't know if you know this. The former host of Weighing In on the Food Network, his name was Juan Carlos Cruz. He was arrested after offering homeless men $1,000 to murder his wife. And he did that for one season of the show. And he was cooking that entire time. And no one in the filming of that show ever was like, Juan Carlos, are you doing okay? Like, this porterhouse is sleeping on your couch. And this chili you made over here tastes like you've been paying men to kill your wife. Like, what is going on here? Are you paying homeless men? Like, this is atrocious, Juan Carlos. I don't know if you know this. Juan Carlos is currently housed at the California City Correctional Facility, working in the cafeteria. According to inmates, his lasagna tastes like regret. I feel good about where I'm at in the set, not in general. I do want to. I'm gonna go in a weird direction here that I hope you're comfortable with. I think hell is a weird concept right now. You know, like the idea of hell, the fact that if you're bad, you go to a place that is universally bad for all of us that made a lot of sense when I was a kid. I was raised in a very conservative household, and it doesn't make any sense to me now. Like, hell made sense in the 12th century. Like, oh man, it's on fire and you'll get poked with a sharp object. That makes sense when, like, you're eating dirt. It doesn't make any sense when we're eating asphalt necessarily. You know what I mean? Like, I don't believe in... hell doesn't make sense in a world where there's an active BDSM community. You know what I mean? Unless your depiction of hell has like most of the people there going like, "Oh my God, yes!" Like, I don't buy it. It doesn't. I looked at a Renaissance painting of hell before. I was in a museum, and I was looking. An artist in like the 16th century painted, like, they had a nightmare about hell, and it was so vivid they decided to paint it. And like, oh my God, this is how I atone. I make it clear so other people are converted. And I was looking at this painting someone made 500 years ago of their worst nightmare, and I just went, there's a fetish for that. There's a fetish for that. Oh shit, I'm into that one. That's crazy. That's wild. I grew up super conservative. I grew up very, very Christian, very Methodist. When I was 10 years old, just like the fucking Renaissance painter, I had a nightmare about what I thought hell would look like. I was 10 years old, and I swear a couple days ago, I saw what I had a nightmare about. I saw it actualized. I was on redtube.com, and my vision of hell had 75% of votes. Like, it's crazy. Anyway, that's I feel good about what I've done. That's all I'm gonna do, guys.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right. So yeah, a little shorter episode tonight. Thank you guys all for coming out. If you watch the show, you know I like defining winners and losers. I think I'm gonna go with Breck tonight. Breck's the winner.
Thanks.
All right, I'll send you a Venmo when I leave. So yeah, we're here every Monday and Wednesday night, 8 to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I'll see you guys on Wednesday.